That's the way I see it.
That's where I see it.
That's the way I see it.
That's the way I see it.
That's the way you see it.
That's the way I see it.
That's the way I see it.
That's the way I see it.
That's why I see it.
Welcome to this very special extended edition of The Way I See It. I'm your host, Austin Darga. On today's episode, we'll be talking to a local chief meteorologist whose passion expands to more than just reporting the weather. Hear his amazing journey in meteorology, video games, and so much more. Many of you locals are familiar with my next guest, Michael Stevens. He is the chief meteorologist of 9 and 10 News, our local CBS affiliate in Traverse City, serving Northwest Michigan. Michael was born and raised here in Northern Michigan and is host of the Behind the Forecast podcast, as well as starring in an award-winning program called the 1UP XP Show. Michael is also a proud supporter of A Kid Again, an organization that creates memorable and enjoyable experiences and adventures for children dealing with life-threatening conditions. So, multi-talented star in our community for sure. So, without further ado, let's welcome Michael Stevens to The Way I See It. Good morning, sir, and welcome. We're so excited to have you here today.
Austin, that was awesome, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You just pumped my tires up a little bit. I appreciate that, brother.
That's what we're all about doing here. Absolutely.
Listen, I want to say right off the rip, you did that. A lot of people might not see behind the scenes of your podcast, but you did that all off the top of your head like I do a forecast off the top of my head. I'm impressed.
Well, thank you very much.
That's a good memory right there.
Well, thank you. You know, we're all about having drive and passion and showing that to people, and also not just showing, but encouraging that to people as well. And if you have the knack for something, then, you just roll with it. You got to chase your dreams, and that's what we're all about here.
I'm impressed, brother. I'm impressed. How are you today?
I'm doing excellent, and
Good.
We're so glad to have you here.
Thank you. I appreciate being asked to come.
Absolutely. Our pleasure, for sure. So, speaking of chasing dreams, what first sparked your interest in weather and meteorology?
Oh, man. I was born in Reed City. Spent the first 5 years of my life in Everett. My parents got divorced when I was 5. My mom worked at Four Winds in Cadillac at the time, so she moved me and my sister up here towards the Traverse City area. And grew up in Cadillac. Went to high school, graduated from there. But as a kid, I wanted to know why water fell on me. I loved thunderstorms. I loved lightning. I loved weather in general. So that kind of sparked my interest. Also, back in the day, we had shows like Mr. Wizard or Bill Nye, and they would spark my scientific interest.
Oh, good old Bill. Yep, we used
Bill.
to watch him in elementary school as well. Yep.
Bill
Nye, the science guy.
See? And the thing is, back in the day, watching TV, I was a Saturday morning cartoon kid. Everybody had if you had a catchy tune, it seemed like the show was really good. And Bill always had a good show.
Yeah.
But as a kid, I wanted to do weather. I was very interested in it, and I told my second grade teacher I was going to be a weatherman at 9 and 10. And the thing was, we didn't get many other stations in 9 and 10. So CBS was always on. We watched 9 and 10 all the time. And in fact, side tangent, the only meteorologist I haven't met that worked in 9 and 10 is Dave Behrens. The one person that I always watched as a kid that made me want to be a meteorologist is the guy that lives up here. I've never met him. So if Dave hears this, Dave, I want to meet you sometime. But in second grade, told my teacher I was going to be a meteorologist, and then Twisters came out in 1997. I was 12. And that cemented my love for weather. I was like, I want to be a meteorologist. And if you look around the meteorology world today, a lot of kids that are your age, my age, 25 to 40, they became meteorologists because of that movie. So I was like, wow, this sparked a whole generation of meteorologists. And graduated high school. I played sports my entire life as well. And I wanted to pursue hockey to college. So I found a college where I could get my meteorology degree and play hockey. That was Northland College in northern Wisconsin. Sadly closed its doors this year after 125 years or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Unfortunately, a lot of private schools just feeling the burden nowadays. Got my degree, played hockey, played baseball in college, and then put resumes out in 2008. And a lot of people were saying, you're not going to get a job, we're in the middle of a recession, prepare for the worst. I got a job 2 weeks after graduating in Minot, North Dakota, my first TV gig at KMOT TV. I learned a lot. North Dakota is a beautiful state. I technically call it a different country. It's flat. 95% of their economy is agriculture. I really quickly learned how to forecast for farmers in North Dakota. You have to know soil temps. You have to know when severe weather's coming in because you don't want their crops to be damaged.
Right.
But in North Dakota, there's not many people. And Minot was actually the biggest city I've ever lived in. Well, it was about 38,000 people. Mind you, growing up in Cadillac, there's only 10,000. But it was fun. After a year and a half or so, I saw the gig open up at 9 and 10, and I applied, and they said, you know the names of the cities? That's half the battle. Come on home. So I was like, all right. In February of 2010, started my run at 9 and 10. So back home, doing what I wanted to do since I was a little kid, and I was the morning meteorologist for Michigan This Morning for 11 and a half years. So that was waking up at 1 o'clock every morning and going home-ish around noon. I've always been a kid, Austin. I don't know how your sleep patterns are, but for me, I've never needed all 8 hours at one time. I can sleep 2-3 hours and then be refreshed. So working the morning show was just fine with me because I'd split my sleep schedule up. I'd come home at noon, take a nap, get up in the afternoon, wait for my wife to come home from work, spend time with her, and then go back to bed at 9, take a power nap, and then get up at 1 and go back to work. I did it for 11 and a half years. So, yeah, that's basically the weather story. And then when COVID hit, I was getting sick of waking up at 1 a.m., and I asked if they could give me a 9 to 5 because I hadn't worked a 9 to 5 at this time since I was 18 years of age. So they said, yeah, sure, we'll give you the noon weather and the 4, which is the lifestyle show at 9 and 10. And they said, cool. And so I started doing that, and that's where the 1UP XP show was born. And then last year, a year ago actually to this day, I became the chief meteorologist at 9 and 10, which I had no aspirations of ever being the chief meteorologist. But it opened, and they asked, and I said, yeah, let's try it out. Let's see and so far so good. I love being chief meteorologist.
Well, hey, it definitely when, like we said, when you have a drive and a passion for something, you're willing to try and do anything, and even if it requires flexibility. I mean, some people are pretty particular about that, but others like you and I, we follow that, that same vibe. And so sleep patterns or work schedules, don't really matter to me too. I mean, this job has been really important to me. It's something it's a dream and a goal that I've always wanted to follow. And so because it means so much to me, if I have to make last minute changes to my schedule, I will,
Right.
If I have to get up at 5-6 in the morning to come here or go out and do a public gig, at 7 in the morning, I will. And, I'll adjust my free time schedule from, staying up late at night to going to bed early and doing what I need to do because it's what I live for.
I agree 100% with you, man. I mean, you're bred from like the kind of the same mold as I am, and I see this in a lot of Northern Michiganders, especially millennial Michiganders. Is it was always pounded into our head that you have to go to work, you have to do this, you have to do that. And the thing is, like, we're very passionate, we're very driven, we want to succeed. And that means, yes, if we have to change our schedule, we'll do it. If we have to stay an extra hour or 2 or 3 after work, we'll do it. Like, we will do the things to get it done, and then we'll also make sure it's perfect. We'll do it ourselves. But in the long run, sometimes that kind of burns you out too. But, we chase our dreams and our passions, and we do it well.
Yeah, that's right. And when you continue to do that, at the end of the day, you don't have time for tired. You're doing what you love, both personally and professionally. And I know that for myself, that's what it's all about for me. And I can definitely tell that you and I have that connection. So kudos to you on that as well.
Kudos to you, brother. Getting up at 5 a.m. and doing podcasts. Like, I understand 100% where you're coming from. So yeah, I think the connection's strong there.
Absolutely. So could you share with us one of your most memorable or intense weather events you've covered up here? You've talked about Minot, North Dakota, and the farmland there. And each place in the United States, has all different types of weather. So, you never know what's going to happen anywhere at any time.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why I love weather, is because we live in a place that's very large, right? The United States is very big. It spans from Hawaii to Alaska to California over to Florida and Maine. Michigan's very, very different. just from the other states alone. We have 5 giant lakes, 3 big lakes in our viewing area alone that drive a lot of our weather. Michigan's one of the hardest spots in the world to forecast for because the lakes add a million different variables in the atmosphere. Like it could be warm, it could be cold. You have lake effect snow, which a lot of people don't even know what it is because we have those giant lakes that generate lake effect snow. A lot of places don't. So we have very dynamic weather here in Michigan, and that's one reason why I think I was drawn to the weather. But one of the biggest weather things that I've ever covered was the Gaylord tornado 3 years ago. I broke that. I was breaking in coverage to warn everybody, hey, we have severe thunderstorm warnings that turned into tornado warnings, and we were there live the entire way as the tornado started forming and then went through Gaylord and continued east. And then after that, our news director came in and said, hey, I need you to go to Gaylord and cover that. And I was like, okay. So I went up to Gaylord, and that was the first time that I had ever seen damage caused by a tornado. As a meteorologist, you can see pictures, you can see videos, you can learn about it. It hits a million times different when you're standing in the swath of damage after a tornado goes through. You're not a journalist, you're not a meteorologist, you're at that point boots on the ground to help. Like that was immediately my first thing. As soon as I stepped on in that swath of 250 yards of damage, I was like, okay, what do I have to do to help? So that was definitely the biggest thing that I ever had to cover, most intense thing. In fact, I told you I had some news, and that actually pertains to the Gaylord tornado. I'm actually, so the Discovery Channel has a show called, it's actually on Max, it's called Into the Eye of the Storm. I interviewed with them, or I sat down and talked about the Gaylord tornado with them. The Gaylord tornado is going to be a whole hour-long episode. They did a whole documentary on it, and I sat down with them in Detroit for 3 hours and talked them all through the Gaylord tornado. They have 14 people that was a part of that tornado, and they're basically telling the tale, or the story, if you will, of the Gaylord tornado, the impacts, the families it impacted, and just how wild that tornado is in northern Michigan, because that was a tornado we don't see here. Like that's an Oklahoma or Kansas tornado, a Plains tornado. But it was a perfect setup. It's like the first thing you learn in meteorology. Meteorology 101. The storm's up north, and then there's a little hook, and you can see the little ball at the end of that hook. That's the tornado. We usually don't get those types of tornado here in northern Michigan. We end up seeing, a line of storms, and you get circulation out of it, and you get a smaller tornado. This was a giant tornado. It was a big EF3, winds of 145 miles per hour. And, it took 2-story stick-built homes and moved them off their foundation. Like, that's a big tornado. So that was definitely the biggest weather thing, most intense weather thing I've ever had to cover. There's definitely been some storms. The first thing I ever had to cover on TV was an F3 tornado in North Dakota. A little bit different up there because it's not nearly as populated. And as a meteorologist, Austin, as a scientist, I love nothing more than seeing these giant tornadoes out in the middle of nowhere not impacting anybody. Like the creation of a tornado and Mother Nature, the power of Mother Nature is amazing when it's not impacting people.
Yeah, absolutely. It always has to be about safety first, for sure.
Correct. And so a lot of people are like, oh, were you excited to see this tornado? Yes and no. Like, I'm always excited to see science and meteorology take place. But when it starts impacting my neighbors or the people that live in downtown Gaylord or traveling through downtown Gaylord, that's where I'm like, uh-oh, I have to help in some way. Like, I don't like that part of weather and meteorology. Like, if it would just leave people alone or not impact people, all for it. Like, I will sit there and stare like we were talking before the podcast. I used to fall asleep to the Weather Channel looking for severe weather to hit us. Like, because I wanted to see that. You get older and you're like, yeah, I want to see it. Just don't impact people. And unfortunately, as places get bigger, a lot of people have this myth in their head that tornadoes or severe weather doesn't impact big cities. A tornado can go anywhere. A tornado can form anywhere. You just need the right conditions. So people just need to be prepared. And that's what I really try to relay is be prepared, not scared. Don't be scared of the weather. Just be prepared for the weather. Have safety kits. Have a plan if there's a tornado or if there's bad weather. Have a plan so you're out of harm's way. Don't be scared of it. Be prepared.
You're listening to The Way I See It. We're talking with Doppler 9 and 10 Chief Meteorologist Michael Stevens. Stay tuned. We'll have more with him after this. Get ready, Traverse City! Join us for the Fall Harvest Festival hosted by Better Together of Northern Michigan on Sunday, October 19th from 1 to 3 p.m. at 1499 Business Park Drive. We're celebrating the season with pumpkin decorating, face painting, games, live music, delicious food, and fun for the whole family. Come together, make memories, and be a part of a community that celebrates belonging. That's the Fall Harvest Festival, October 19th, 1 to 3 p.m. See you there! We're now back to The Way I See It with Michael Stevens. There's a motto that I always follow now because I once heard somebody say, it's all fun and games until somebody gets hurt. So you relating that to the weather, that totally makes sense. I mean, it might be cool to, maybe cover certain weather events, but at the end of the day, when it's impacting you, your neighbors, your friends, your family, your community, then it becomes a totally different vibe altogether. You're like, yeah, this is not good. It's like a complete 180 turnaround,
100%. And the thing is, like, we are now in 2025. And a lot of people nowadays, they might not be at a TV or waiting for or see alerts on TV, right? We have phones now. We have different ways of getting alerts. A lot of people are much busier nowadays than they were 20 years ago.
Yeah, the power of technology.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why when I stepped into the chief role, I was like, all right, we need to modernize the weather department. A lot of old ways of doing things is still prevalent in TV and broadcast. And it's like, you need to start streaming severe weather alerts when they start popping up. And I started introducing that at 9 and 10 last year. We had a severe thunderstorm, a line of storms that was severe, basically from the Straits all the way down to state. And we streamed it for 2.5 hours and broke in on TV at the exact same time for anybody who might not have a TV near them. So they could join us on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram. And then also at the same time, if they're in front of a TV, they can get it that way. The more we can reach, the better. Because in severe weather, my job is to keep you protected. My job isn't getting money to be a meteorologist. My job is to protect you. Like, that's on me. And it's not in my contract, and it's not a law. I just want to be able to prep you for that because I don't want anybody to get hurt. I don't want anybody to die. Like, that's everyone's goal, right? We just want people to have a peace of mind and be okay.
Right, exactly.
So that's what I'm trying to do as chief at 9 and 10 is modernize it, make it more accessible for everybody because, the ways of TV is a little bit different now than it was when we were kids.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And, on top of that, bringing up the tornado that happened in Gaylord, that was probably one of our most historical weather events up here, at least in my time, despite the ice storm that the greater north had several months ago. And but before...
Essentially, they had 2 generational storms in a matter of 3 years. In 2 different seasons. That EF3 tornado, like that is wild. And you don't see that, right? And that was downtown Gaylord. And then they have an ice storm that is once in a lifetime ice storm. 4 inches of ice that basically just tore everything down in the northeast corner of the Lower Peninsula.
Oh, yeah, a lot of people were affected by that.
Our tower snapped.
Yeah, I know. That was so interesting because, we talk about the power of radio and TV. It's what keeps us prepared and alive. When the internet is down, then, what do you have left if you don't have electricity, unless you have a battery-operated radio? And, even with that, it affected a lot of our local TV and radio stations as well. I mean, because, there were towers knocked down, that there was a lot of people off the air. And
our tower in Vanderbilt had a few radio stations on there that would relay their signal. So, 105.1 was on our tower. So they were down because our tower broke. So, we work hand in hand with a lot of people. But the thing is, who would have ever thought we'd have 4 inches of ice that takes things down?
Yeah, and as a radio head myself, I never seen something like that before. And I was like, I was just really astounded. I was like, oh man, And speaking of snow, I'll share with you a really quick story before we move on here. My mom grew up in the Deep South. She was born and raised in Ohio and Kentucky, and the South, of course, talking about different places having different weather.
Yep.
They definitely have different weather than what we're used to. And one of the things that they are not used to is snow.
Yes.
And so with my mom still having family living down in Kentucky, the Louisville and Lexington, and I think it's somewhere downstate in Kentucky. I forget the name of the city, but anyway, she had an aunt that lived down there, and one morning they ended up with 2 inches. Get this, 2 inches of snow.
That's wild.
From the night before, and they closed the schools down.
Yep. I have a funny story like that as well. We were going to Florida. I was 10 or 11, and we used to drive. We used to take I-75 all the way down. And we stopped in Tennessee overnight. We stopped at a hotel and got up the next morning to go. And there was, I kid you not, a skiff of snow. Not 2 inches, just a skiff of snow. The entire city was shut down. McDonald's wasn't open. And we're in a minivan just cruising down the road. Nobody's on the road. And it's a skiff of snow. And I'm like, what's going on? And we couldn't believe it. But yeah, they deal with snow very differently. They don't have snow plows down there. They have no means of knowing. When I was in North Dakota, Austin, when you think North Dakota, it's farther north than we are. You think they get a ton of snow. No, they don't get snow. They just get cold because they're landlocked. So, the lakes here in Michigan keep us really warm compared to Wisconsin, Minnesota, and North Dakota in the winter. But out there, the 2 winters I was there, they broke their snow total records. So the first year was 80 inches, and the next year was 90 inches. And people were losing their mind because they didn't know how to drive in snow in North Dakota.
Wow.
I was like, wait, where am I? But I'm used to it because I grew up in the snow.
Sure.
That's one thing in northern Michigan that I'm actually proud and happy of, is at least we know how to drive, for the most part, in snow. Yes, 100 inches is no skin off our back here in northern Michigan. If you're not used to it, yes, it's really rough. But I went to North Dakota, and they just didn't know how to drive in snow. That blew my mind. I figured they would. But it was the same thing in Tennessee. They get a skiff of snow and everything shuts down.
Sure.
That's the beauty of 4 seasons here, though, right? We get so much different active weather. We're prepared for pretty much everything, except for, hurricanes or sizable tornadoes. We live somewhere where the weather's not constantly trying to kill us.
Right, exactly. And, the one thing that we don't do here at GTI, and the way I see it, is judge a book by its cover. So, right. And the way I see it, we have a national and maybe even possibly a global audience. And so, we're not criticizing anybody because, it's just like being raised in a certain culture. I mean, there are people that are a part of different cultures that do things and follow different protocols than like you and I. I mean, a Jewish person, has different things that they go by than a Hispanic person, right, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's just like dealing with something like that. So we're not judging, we're not making fun of anybody. I want to make that very clear to our listeners. But it's just a matter of how everybody deals with it, and if you're not used to it or if you're not prepared with it, then you're obviously going to react to it totally different than somebody else may.
And that's 100% what I learned a lot of in college, right? So the more you get out and the more you see different bubbles that people are a part of, it just opens your eyes to the differences that people see. Like growing up in northern Michigan, I had a very closed off bubble. I didn't know anything other than northern Michigan. Going to college, I finally, my first roommate was gay. There was a lot of people that I met that it was like, I just did not know anything. And that opened my eyes to different bubbles. People in North Dakota, when I went there, they aren't used to snow. I was like, but you're in the north. They're used to 45 degrees below zero. I am not.
Sure. If you weren't born and raised with it, then yeah.
Exactly. And our bubbles are all different. And that's why I love, humans and being able to interact and talk stories like we are. Like hearing everyone's story just makes us better human beings. Sitting down and talking just makes us way better. Well, that's what I love about it.
Yeah, well, I think you hit the nail on the head, and I think that you definitely raise a valid point there. And, in talking about that and mentioning that, weather is a crucial part of our daily lives, no matter who we are. Mm-hmm. And so, whether you have whether you have a condition of some sort or a disability, like someone myself who is totally blind, might not be able to necessarily see the television, but I watch you by listening to you and paying attention by hearing about everything that's going on. And when I do listen to you, I definitely have to hand it to you. You definitely are doing this for your community, and not only are you doing that, but you also provide, a little fun and silliness and entertainment too, which, they say variety is the spice of life, and I definitely commend people who are doing stuff like that. So
Austin, thank you. I'm so glad you pick up on that. What's the point of watching something and just going through and not having a giggle, right? I always love to laugh.
Right, exactly, because everybody, just like we talked about the weather, everybody has their own way of enjoying things. Just like a deaf person, for example, might not necessarily be able to hear our podcast, but when they hear you tell the weather, when they see you, when you're telling the weather on TV, they might look at like the closed captioning and read and be able to read like what exactly you're saying, so that way they're just as capable as preparing themselves as anybody else would.
Yep, 100%. And that's and that's why we do that, is so everyone of any disability can have the same experience as anyone else. And that's what I do on TV is, yes, I will be serious when it needs time to be serious. But at the same time, like if you're getting up, this was always my motto on Michigan This Morning. When you're getting up at 5 a.m., you turn on the news, you're getting ready for the day, you're preparing yourself. But you also don't want to hear doom and gloom all morning. Right. You want to have a little fun. So I want to make people laugh. As much as I am a weatherman, I also want to entertain a little bit. Like, there's a reason that you get up and turn us on in the morning, is you got to like something. And I always felt like people liked tuning in and laughing a little bit. And that's why the morning show is always a little bit more laid back. The evening news always had the stigma of being the evening news. Just kind of suit and tie and, no fun. And I'll never forget the first time I covered the evening news. I was cracking jokes and doing, me things. I have a big personality, so I'm going to do it regardless if somebody likes it or not. But I brought a little bit of fun, and everybody enjoyed it. Even in the newsroom, they're like, oh, this is fun. This is nice. I was like, see, it doesn't always have to be uptight and serious all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
And people respond to that. Some people may not like it. I'm not going to make everybody happy. Like, that's just going to be the thing.
That's life. You can't always make every single person happy 100% of the time. That's just life, and that's reality.
Right.
And you just deal with it. Yeah.
It's you feel better if somebody connects with you on a different level. And to me, that's just, being laid back, being that friend, or like if somebody will. So take this for example. We used to have consultants. They would come in and they would tell you what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, maybe what you need to work on.
Sure.
And they came in and was telling me this and that, and I learned to take what they were saying with a grain of salt, because they were bringing stuff from like Kansas City markets or bigger markets and then to Northern Michigan. Northern Michigan is very different than, say, Kansas City or Houston.
Sure.
So it's like, I grew up here. I know how to connect with people. Like, I understand what they're looking for. And that, I think, resonated very big with a lot of people, is when you're talking to them as if you're just talking to your neighbor over the fence, they respond better to it and understand more than if you're trying to present something that is not what they're used to. Like, being from here, you have a different grasp. And I'm not saying somebody can't come here and do the same thing. It's just some people tend to be more uptight about it, and people don't connect well that way. Just talk like you and I are talking. We connect well that way. And that's how a lot of people respond. And I picked up on that quickly in TV, is don't be that guy that seems far away. Be that guy that they think you're, not think, but we are connected as friendship, or talking to you as I saw you in the grocery store. Like, that's how people start listening rather than not paying attention, if you will. And I found that out really quickly in TV. And I'm not saying I'm acting. That's just how I am in real life. Like, if I saw you on the street tomorrow, Austin, I'd stop and talk your ear off. Like, that's just who I am.
Sure.
And then people do that in the grocery store all the time. And that's because of the connection they see me on TV. They're like, oh, hey, weather guy. And we'll sit there and talk for 30 minutes. My wife hates going to the grocery store with me. because she'll have to sit there and listen to us talk. But I'm that guy. I'll give anybody time. I love stories. And I think that's the journalist part of me, even though I'm not a journalist. I love hearing people's stories because that gives me more awareness of other people's bubbles.
Sure.
And that makes us learn, right? We're always learning. And so the more that I can learn and then pass on, I feel like that's just my duty as a human. Like, everyone shouldn't be, isolated or not taking things in. So the more that I can push out to people that helps understand what humans are going through, the better. And that's what I've always based my platform on TV. It's like, I'm going to be your friend and I'm going to tell you like we're just chatting over a fence. And I feel people respond better that way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you wholeheartedly on that because I think the key thing with that to remember here is active listening. I don't care who you are. I know a lot of people throughout my life, and I have known people throughout my life who are direct. I also know, people who are more laid back, and you're definitely going to get a variety of those different human beings everywhere you go throughout your life. Mm-hmm. Whether it's meeting somebody new or somebody that you used to know and remember from a long time ago, and it takes a different variety and group of people to make the world go round. And so I could go through I could write a book about all the different people and experiences that I've had throughout my life, and I could sit here and chat with you and tell stories about that all day.
All right. So, have you gone to a high school reunion yet?
I have not, no.
So where did you graduate high school?
I graduated from my homeschool was...
Oh, so you homeschooled?
No, I'm not homeschooled. My homeschool was Traverse City West. However, okay. I won't go into specific detail because I could spend hours talking about it. But I had a real interesting school career. I took both general ed and special education classes, and so okay. I was which actually I'm very, very thankful for. Looking back, I definitely have a different appreciation for that now than I used to. But anyway, it exposed me to having a lot of different experiences with life lessons, and also meeting a variety of different students and teachers and just people in general. And that really made me realize that everybody goes through different things on a daily basis. We all have our own personal lives and how we live it, and everybody also goes through different things as well. I mean, some people might have a disability. Some people might be born and raised a certain way because of different environmental situations that they're in. Yep. And so that's the one life lesson that I've learned is to, as I mentioned to you earlier, never judge a book by its cover, because every single person, good or bad, and I'm not saying don't make excuses for everybody, right, because it doesn't help matters any for sure. Mm-hmm. But everybody in some way, shape, or form has lived life differently and has made different choices throughout their life, which always have consequences. Whether you do something good or bad, there's always consequences, and they can either be rewarding or you get punished for them, but yep, it's all on you. You're responsible for your own person.
And the reason I bring that up is because I went to my 20th high school reunion last year. Okay. And it's a lot of friends that I haven't seen in 20 years. A lot of people I haven't seen in 20 years. And I think my graduating class was 180, and I think we had like 45, 50 people there. But it's so crazy to see how people have changed.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And it's so cool to hear their stories and what they've done. Like, I have friends now that are making movies, and it's like, they're like, "You're the chief." I was like, "But you're making movies." Like, it's so cool to see the road that we have taken and where people are at compared to when we were just friends or, pupil to pupil in high school. Like, we never would have thought 20 years later, wow, look at where we are. Even if people are still living in the town you're from, they're still doing community impact.
Absolutely.
It's crazy to see, and I never thought I would go to a 20th or a school reunion in general and be just in awe of my classmates. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but it's like, wow, I could be here all night listening to their stories of how they got to where they're doing and what they're doing. Like, I don't care that I'm chief. I want to hear about you, because it's awe-inspiring. And that's what I love about humans, is like everyone has a road. When you're younger, don't worry, the road will be there. But it's just crazy to see how far, even myself, in 10 years, I've come. Like, it's wild. The roads, and we'll get into it, but the roads that I've taken and so many different hats I've worn in the last 10 years alone is insane. I never would have thought I'd been there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not only do you experience that for yourself, but when you see people around you experiencing that, I mean, that can definitely be a life changer too. I know that, I've never been to my own high school reunion, but I have been able to reminisce the past few years and reconnect with several different people with doing all of the public speaking events that I do along with doing The Way I See It. And I'm getting that same exact vibe that you are. Just a couple months ago, before the last school year ended, I had the pleasure to go speak to a classroom at my former elementary school with a teacher that I had who's still teaching there now for 30 years. She's been teaching the same exact time that I've been alive. And
that's so cool.
Eastern Elementary, it was real interesting to see all the changes there, because when I was going to school there, and I got to share this history with her current students that are in her class now, it was a totally different building altogether. It was a one-story building, and then they tore the building down a couple of years ago and totally rebuilt it. And I finally was able to see, because I've been so interested in what the new building was like, and it has an elevator and staircases, and that's not the school that I went to before. So it's like, you're getting, but the really cool thing about it was you got this vibe of old and new, like seeing, getting to talk to former teachers that I had when I was there that are still there, and getting to meet a whole bunch of new kids and students and staff that are there now. I definitely had some really an awesome variety of exposures there, and it's the same thing with the other day. I went over to our GTI location in Mansalona, where I did my previous podcast with two guys that own a candle and recycling company in Bel Air. Cool. There was a young lady there that I got to see that I used to go to school with. She said hi to me, and at first I didn't recognize her because I haven't seen her in a few years, and I recognize people by their voices because Correct. I'm blind, I can't see their faces, so I rely on their voices, and I didn't recognize her voice at first. I'm like, what's your name? And she said, oh, it's Rachel. And I'm like, oh yeah, I remember you. You've changed so much since school. But it was really awesome and interesting and cool to see that. Yeah. And you get to see seeing how much people change. You also get to see how much they've blossomed, and you get to hear all these really shocking but cool stories about them from when you've last saw them before, And
it boils down to you love seeing your friends succeed.
Oh, absolutely.
I just 100%. I just love seeing people succeed, friends or not. I just want people to succeed, and I love it when my friends do it. And I'll cheer them from the top of the hill. I love seeing my friends succeed, and I'll put it before mine. I just love seeing the happiness. I just love being able to pass that along. And if I can be a hand in that, whether it's a step or I'm helping you up the hill, whatever it is, I want my friends to succeed.
Oh, absolutely. I'm totally with you there. And, the more things that you have a passion for in life, the more well-rounded you're going to be for sure. And we need to encourage more people to do that.
100%. And I think that comes from just, like we mentioned before, and we won't get back into it, but it's just the stories of people, right?
Absolutely.
And that's where you see, for me, man, you had Anders on the show, Anders Gardner.
Yeah.
And, again, a friend that we share a hunting background, and we share that charitable background. We just want people to succeed. And we were actually briefly making a show that was going to air on CBS about around 9 and 10 about hunting and outdoors in northern Michigan. And we just wanted it to be that everyday outdoor show that people could relate to. And it was really, really good. We had about 8 episodes in the can before it just didn't work out. But it was, just that, like, talking to your neighbor about outdoor stuff. It was fun. It was a great time. But that's really how Anders and I connected. And that's how I think a lot of people in the community connect, is you find things that you can connect on. And for me, a lot of it is charitable stuff. It works really well, and I just want to see people happy. And that's why I think charitable stuff kind of I gravitate to charitable stuff.
Okay. All right. So you're probably familiar with the variety of stuff that you're exposed to. You're familiar, of course, you mentioned Anders Garner, and you're probably familiar with Mike Avery. He's a big media outdoorsy guy. So big shout out to him, and also a big shout out to Byron Allen as well. If you ever find this, man, you're really amazing. All of the stuff that you're doing for TV is really awesome, and keep up the good work, man. I love your shows. Yeah, I love the Weather Channel. I love your shows and everything that you're providing for the public. So Byron Allen, keep up the good work, man. All right. So, and speaking of having a passion for different things, you also have a show called the One Up XP Show, which we briefly mentioned, that focuses on video games. So could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, like I told you, man, you're going to head down some roads that could be long. I've been playing video games since I was 2. So 1987, my dad brought home NES, a Nintendo Entertainment System from Sears. Got it for $100. And that pretty much changed my life. But I was only 2, so I don't know how much of the life it changed. But my dad brought it home because he loved duck hunt. He played duck hunt at my uncle's house, I think. My uncle lived 2 houses down on the small lake that I was on at the time. And Dad bought a
Was
Nintendo.
This an older video game from like back in the 70s or 80s?
80s, yeah.
Okay.
So this would have been 87. So,
for our younger listeners that might not know.
Yeah, for younger listeners. Duck Hunt was a game. So Nintendo, when you bought it at the time, came with the original Nintendo Entertainment System, which just had a controller with a D-pad and 2 buttons and start select. And then it was like a rectangle or a square, and you put a cartridge in it and you hit the power button, and you would be playing Super Mario Brothers, the very original Super Mario Brothers. But it also came with another game on the cartridge called Duck Hunt. Duck Hunt, the ducks would fly, and the console came with a gun. It was a plastic gun, and you would point at the TV, and it would have a little box that would respond to the gun, and you'd try to shoot the duck as it was flying all around. And if you missed it, a little dog would pop up and laugh at you. Oh my goodness gracious. It was the stuff of nightmares, because the dog would laugh at you. My grandpa, I'll never forget, played Duck Hunt. And he would try to shoot the dog, just laughing at him because he couldn't shoot the ducks. But Nintendo was where I started. And then every time a console came out, my dad, for my birthday, would buy me the new console. That was just kind of how Dad, for my birthday, that's what he would get me, was a new console if it were out. So from the Nintendo, I ended up getting a Super Nintendo. And then from the Super Nintendo, I ended up getting a PlayStation. And then from the PlayStation, I got I got a 64, and then PlayStation 2, and so on and so forth. So down the line, I was just a video game kid. Like, that's what I did. On my downtime, I played video games. So fast forward after college, that's how me and my friends actually kept in touch. We would play Call of Duty or a bunch of these games online, and that's how we kept in touch. Every night, we'd play video games. And then about 2015, actually, 2014, I'm sorry, late 2014, somebody came to me from the IT department at 9 and 10 and said, hey, check this out. Some guy's streaming video games on the internet. I was like, why would I want to watch someone play video games? And I tuned in and I got it instantly. It's a free form of entertainment. The guy's playing the game. He might be good at the game. You might learn some stuff, but he's just funny. And I was like, oh, I do this every day on TV, and then I go home and play video games. Why don't I try streaming video games? So January 2nd, 2015, I started my streaming career on Twitch. So, and I never thought it would take me to places. I never thought that this would be a thing. I started growing an audience. Video games and esports started taking off. And in 2016, someone said, hey, you should probably join an esport organization. I was like, what is that? I have no idea what you're talking about. They said, well, here's an application. They're looking for content creators. So essentially people who would make, streaming videos and then put them on social media. I was like, okay. So I interviewed, and it was for, at the time, the esports organization was called Set to Destroy X. They were based out of Toronto, Canada. And the interview went really well. They're like, you're a weatherman? They were shocked that I was a weatherman. I was like, yeah, that's my 9 to 5. I'm a weatherman. And they're like, oh, no way. But they onboarded me, and I started making content for them and streaming. And then in 2017, a game by the name of Fortnite came out. And me and my buddies started playing Fortnite in its early stages, and we were really good. And I was like, wow. And we were playing on Xbox at the time. I went to the CEO of Set to Destroy X. I was like, hey, what would it take to carry us as a pro team for you guys? Because we hear rumblings that Fortnite's going to be coming like a real esport game. They're like, well, actually, we'll just make you our pro Xbox team. I was like, cool, awesome. So then I became a pro in Fortnite for Set to Destroy X. And I was making money a month playing a video game. Like, I was making a salary based off a video game while I have my 9 to 5 job. My parents thought I was crazy. They thought I was lying. I was like, no, I'm getting paid to play a video game. They're like, no way. So I continued streaming, continued down the pro path, and for a year I was a pro in Fortnite. We went to the very first Fortnite event in Seattle, took part in that, met some very high-end streamers and esport athletes. Like, it was wild. Very fun. But after that, I quickly found out, I think I was 32 at this time, 33. There's 16-year-olds that can make me look silly in this game. I was like, I am too slow. I'm just too old. I was like, I have to hang up my controller from the pro scene. I was like, I missed the bandwagon by about 16 years. So then I became a manager. So at this time, in between me retiring, Set to Destroy X rebranded as Lazarus Esports. Still based out of Toronto, but the CEO brought me on as a manager. So I was in charge of recruiting and analytics for the esports organization. Again, I'm still doing my 9 to 5, but I'm doing this on the off hours. And I was getting, I think about $1,000 a month to do analytics and recruiting for their esports teams. We recruited 4 kids that won $10 million at the Fortnite World Cup.
Whoa!
Can you imagine going back to school in the fall?
That is epic!
Right?
Yeah, wow.
Go back to school and the teacher's like, how was your summer? He's like, I just won $10 million playing Fortnite. It's like, what? That's insane. And then, so essentially being a manager and working in the esports world, I got to see a lot of the back doors of esports organizations and what esports was doing and what's up and coming. And so after a year of managing, I stepped down. It's like, I just want to go back to streaming. I just want to make my own content again. And so I'm still with Lazarus. In fact, the CEO is getting married next month, and he asked me to be in his wedding. So I'm going to go to Toronto. I've only met him once in real life. That's the thing of beauty about video games, is I've been playing video games with people for 20 years online now. Mm-hmm. I've only met a handful of them in life, but we're the best of friends. Like, that's the crazy thing. I don't think a lot of people can wrap their head around that. Like, I haven't met these people in real life, but some of them are my closest friends. And we'll get to that in a little bit, but too as well. But so anyway, so I stepped down from managing and then started just streaming content. When I asked for my 9 to 5 job during COVID at 9 and 10, they said, well, I said to them, cool, you're giving me the noon and the 4. What else do you want me to do? Because I'm here for 8 hours. They're like, well, you play video games, right? I was like, yeah. They're like, well, we're not retaining a lot of the younger generation. Do you know how we could actually retain or get eyeballs back to TV for the younger generation? I was like, well, a lot of kids right now are taking in video game highlights from YouTube and stuff like that. I was like, what if we made a video game TV show? And they said, run with it. And that was how the 1UP XP show was born. So what I did was I took 10 minutes of my streaming content, put it on the show, and then I take the next 10 to 12 minutes for the rest of the show to explain esports to parents who don't understand it, think it's fake, because my parents didn't understand it, thought it was fake. And then to the kids, how they can pursue it. Because a lot of kids wanted to be the next ninja. They wanted to be the next big esports thing. So all the colleges started getting esports degrees and teams. And so like this was a real way for kids to actually get in esports. Because when you look at esports, it's another form of TV. They have production. They have music. They have video games has everything that normal life has. But who's out there to do it? So if this kid plays music and is in a band, they could score stuff for video games. If this kid's interested in design, he could design levels for video games. Like a lot of these kids just don't know how to pursue that. So then I would interview professors or pros or anybody that had under the umbrella of esports. Like I interviewed the very first doctor, the medical professional in esports. Did you know that esports has medical professionals?
Wow. Medical professionals like relating to, I mean, just in general or relating to video games?
So,
or do they have just medical professionals who are who also have a passion for video games as well?
These are just athletes like anyone else. So these kids sit there and play video games for extended periods of time. They have carpal tunnel or issues with their arms, or they might have mental things that they're battling at the same time. Like it is a chess game. Like esports is very tough to go through.
And when you're sitting there for hours playing video games, I mean, and anything can happen.
Dietitians, medical professionals, like people need work, but if you go to your normal doctor and say, I play video games for 8 hours, he's probably not going to know what to do, right? So you have medical professionals that know exactly what to do in the esport realm because you're sitting here for so long playing games all day. So they have, they're a doctor but have an emphasis or more of a what's the word I'm looking for? They have a direct focus, if you will, on esports. So like it's like, wow, I had no idea there was all this out there. So I started exposing that on the show. And so like you mentioned at the top of the show, is multi-award winning. The first year I had a show, I won an award from the Michigan Association of Broadcasters. I was like, whoa, they see what I'm doing. Like this is crazy. Mind you, we're the only TV station in the country that has video games on TV. Nobody had it. And so I was like, wow, I guess I'm doing well. Nobody could grade my show because nobody has seen anything like it. So
there's no like competition.
Right.
Like that's what makes you unique is that you're doing something that nobody else is doing.
So for 3.5 years, I did that show, and for those 3.5 years, I won 3 awards, 2 bests, and 1 kind of like honorable mention. But that will always be something very, very special in my heart because I made it. I was the only person on that show. I didn't have anybody else other than the interviews or anything like that. Me and my buddy just made the content from streaming every night. Like I will always hold that as something, one of the sparks or one of the brightest lights in my lifetime is like I created this. It was on TV. It won awards. Like I'm like, that's really cool. So the Chief gig opened up and I sadly had to put the 1UpXP show on the back burner. I'm just not going to have time for it anymore. But it's on the shelf. Maybe it'll get rekindled someday. Who knows? But this was the last rung for me to climb as a meteorologist. It was chief. I was like, you know what? I want to modernize the department. I want to take what I do with video games, but now implement it to the weather department. So I can stream to all these platforms. I know how to do that with video games. Let's do it with weather. And that's now the next big fad. Is you're seeing these meteorologists streaming on YouTube, streaming on Facebook, and they're getting the income. The station, they're not affiliated with any station. People are now going to these meteorologists on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and getting their forecast information and severe weather coverage. So my job, or what I want to do, is meld that streaming world with the TV world. Let's do both. I can do the TV and the streaming. Let's just bring them together. Let's not be afraid of the streaming world. Like Facebook's not our competitor. Facebook's a platform. We can stand on that. We don't have to say, Facebook's not a competitor. It's just a way for me to get my voice out in front of more people. Like your podcast, right?
Right.
So it's like I want to meld that world. And right now it's very tough because the TV world just doesn't see that meld yet. But we have to do it sooner than later. Otherwise, TV is just kind of like broadcast world right now is very, very shaky at best. But we need,
totally.
We need to get together with the streaming world, and that's my main goal right now as chief. But yes, the 1UpXP show in my video game life is still going. The 1UpXP show is not going anymore, but my stream's still going. And again, do the charity with A Kid Again every year with streaming. And that's how actually I met A Kid Again, which I'm sure we'll get into in a little bit here. But through esports during COVID, A Kid Again couldn't send the kids that are dealing with life-threatening conditions on adventures because they can't get COVID. They don't want to be around anything that they could get sick. That's the last thing they want to do. So they had esports. And I interviewed the director of the Michigan chapter, which was brand new at the time, about A Kid Again and esports. And that's how I got associated with A Kid Again.
Okay.
I interviewed him. And then she came back to me. He's like, you want to be a board member? I was like, I don't know what that means, but sure, count me in.
So, okay, yeah, and I did want to ask you about A Kid Again, but before we do, so you shared about how, that's how you connect video games with the weather is, broadcasting about it and doing all that. Yeah, sure. And you going back to what you mentioned earlier about Super Mario, I have a best friend here at GTI who's a big fan of Super Mario, and to add a little humor to our conversation, you actually reminded me of an episode of South Park where the four boys, who are best friends, one of the boys' little brother is watching somebody play this popular video game. That was on YouTube, and all of the older brother and all of his friends are like, why would I want to sit and just watch somebody play video games on the computer? That's right. Stupid. But his little brother and all of his friends were really interested in it, and so to add a little humor before we move on to the next thing, I just got to do a little South Park impression related to that. PewDiePie! And stay awesome! Yep. That is such a good episode. And the thing is, it's so relevant. Because I said the same thing. And I was like, you remember how I told you my thing was Saturday morning cartoons? This is literally Saturday morning cartoons for this generation. Is people watching stream highlights. All of these content creators out there is literally this generation Saturday morning cartoons. And I was like, I want to meld that world. I want to be, and that's what I actually based the 1UpXP show on, was a Saturday morning cartoon vibe. I had the coolest intro, Austin, no joke. They pixelized me into 8-bit character, and I was jumping through the world and had all of the old console characters, like Sonic flew by me, and we had that little Koopa Troopa bobbing up and down. Somebody at work made that intro for me. I will never ever get rid of that intro. It is the best thing ever. I was like, that's what I loved about TV shows back in the day. I was like, I need a 30-second intro that hooks you, and then you're in the show. Oh, absolutely, because it's your show, and that's what it's all about. You have to have something that pertains and applies and connects to you. Yep, and I absolutely loved every second of that. And that's actually, and like I said, it's one of my golden things in my lifetime. It's next to my wife and what I've achieved. That is right there. That is top tier. I love that show. Wow, that's amazing. Well, going back to A Kid Again, I want to get a little more information about that. So could you tell us what the mission behind this organization is? Yeah, so A Kid Again is a wonderful nonprofit that has chapters across the country. Started in Ohio in 2000, I believe. Mm-hmm. But unlike Make-A-Wish, where Make-A-Wish, they'll give you a wish and then they're gone. They're not with you anymore. A Kid Again stays with you basically your entire life. But we all know the tragedies of kids dealing with life-threatening conditions. They should not be doing that. Right. They shouldn't be in doctor offices or missing childhood. They need to be out playing or enjoying things, not having to worry about something that definitely should not be impacting them. So A Kid Again is a wonderful organization that the entire family can enjoy. It's not just about the kid. It's about the whole family. So, an example is if Jimmy has a life-threatening condition and mom or dad has to make time in between the kids to go to doctor appointments, or they might be separated for weeks at a time for doctor appointments or, treatments, whatever it is, that whole family's impacted. So why give something to the kid who's going through something when everybody's going through something? The entire family is involved in it. Oh, totally. That makes perfect sense. So absolutely. A Kid Again will take the entire family and send them on adventures throughout the year. Not just one, but several different adventures throughout the year. Here in Michigan, we send them to things like baseball games, zoos, racetracks. The biggest one is Michigan's Adventure.
They get to go to, the entire family goes to Michigan's Adventure and enjoys the park scot-free. Like, these aren't things you have to pay money for. These are given to you because of the things that you're dealing with and shouldn't have to deal with. But that is the Michigan chapter. This all started in Ohio years ago on a dream. They partnered, their very first partner was, who owns Cedar Point? It's Cedar Fair? I can't remember. But they partnered with them in Ohio. They had Kings Valley and Cedar Point. And they found out, like, this was a huge hit. Families love this. And so the kids enjoyed it even more. And it gave them a day to be a kid again. Like, they forgot about everything that they're dealing with on a daily basis, and they just loved it. And I love that story. Like, as a kid growing up, I never had to deal with anything like that, right?
Right.
I could do what I wanted. I could play, and it was never burdened by something that I didn't have to deal with. Growing up, I play video games. I'm a big kid at heart. Like, I just like to have fun. And seeing kids being weighed down and their families being weighed down by something they should not have to deal with breaks my heart. If I can do something to help in any way, I'll do it. And when I interviewed Amy Vining, the director of the Michigan chapter of A Kid Again, I just heard that throughout her voice over and over and over again. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, I didn't think interviewing her about A Kid Again in esports would lead me down this path, and it has. She quickly snatched me up to make me a board member, and she knew that video games, kids really go to video games, so she knew there was something there that they could help with, that we could help kids with. And so every year since I've started streaming, I have a 24-hour live stream. I play video games for 24 hours live and raise money for some organization. And when I first started streaming, it was for St. Jude. But once I got on board with A Kid Again, yes, very much so. Once I got on board with A Kid Again, I was like, you know what? Let's make this for A Kid Again, the Michigan chapter. So we did our first 24-hour live stream. We raised $5,000. I was like, wow, like, this is amazing. And then we made it an annual thing. So every year since 2021, we've been doing 24-hour live streams that have only gotten bigger, better, crazier. Last year, or this past year in April, we did the 24-hour live stream at the Detroit Pistons practice facility. And I finally got to meet my friends I've been playing video games with for 6 years every night in person. I invited them up here, and we all sat down, got our computers together, and we played video games for 24 hours and raised money. We raised $14,000 this year for A Kid Again. So $14,000, we have, I think, close to 14,000 kids, a part of A Kid Again here in the Michigan chapter, one of the biggest chapters in the country, actually. And $14,000 is equivalent of getting like half of the 2,000 families in the door at Michigan Adventure. So I was like, wow, we just made a huge impact in these people's lives. And that's what I love about A Kid Again, is I can sit there and be a fool and enjoy myself playing video games and help raise money so kids can go and have fun and be a fool. That's what I love about video games, is I can connect so many different levels with so many different people, whether you're 10 or 60. Like, people love having fun, and if I can have fun and raise money for a great cause, I'm all for it, and it's easy for me to do. Every year we have the 24-hour live stream with A Kid Again. I'm still a board member for them, and we go through and we come up with plans. I'm really trying to get a few more Northern Michigan activities. Like, I've thrown out maybe getting some families up to Mackinac Island so they can enjoy the island, because many families don't get the opportunity to travel very far.
Sure.
But we do have some families up this way. We had the Pit Spitters game last year, or 2 years ago. A lot of families showed up to that. But Michigan's a very large state. So we have families up in the UP. The majority of our families are down in the Detroit, Grand Rapids area, Flint. Obviously bigger cities, more people. But yeah, I am so grateful to be a part of A Kid Again. Prime example. There's a girl by the name of Eli Simmer. She got cancer at the age of 14. And she beat cancer by the age of 16. But she had to go through all the chemo and everything to get rid of that cancer. It was basically hell for her. I got to sit down and interview her for 9 and 10. 3 years ago. And talked to her while she's going through treatment and while she's battling and hating life and everything she's feeling. She's making these kits for kids in cancer wards. So there's certain things that she absolutely hated about cancer treatment. She's like, if I can make these things to give to these kids to avoid the things that I hate, their life's going to be easier. So like instead of being nauseous, she had ginger candies in this little pouch for them. Or, you feel alone during treatment. Even though your family's next to you and supporting you, she's like, you feel so alone. And there's things that she put in these kits so these kids could just feel so much better during cancer treatment. She's doing this while she's battling cancer herself. So I was like, this is a wonderful human being, great interview. I just interviewed her this past Tuesday. She just started college. She, 2 weeks ago, won Miss Michigan Teen USA, and then also is a model. I was like, whoa, what happened to Eli here? Like, Eli just shot up. Meantime, she's still doing all the advocacy stuff that she was doing when she was a part of, or her cancer treatments and a part of A Kid Again. Like, it's insane. That's why I love people's stories, Austin. Like, it's crazy to see what she's gone through and what she continues to do, even though she doesn't have to do it. Like, that's just her passion.
Sure. I mean, that would be a great guest to talk to, like even like here on The Way I See It. I mean, just to hear,
she would love to.
Just to hear about
Guaranteed.
all the amazing things that she's doing. I mean, yeah, if there's any way that we could reach out and help or connect with her, I mean, we'd absolutely love to do it because I think she would be the perfect person to share her advocacy story for.
Her story is insane, and she's going. So she started at Central this week. So we just sat down with her and talked to her 3 years after we talked to her.
Central Michigan University?
Yep. So
okay.
She's going to Central. She's from Clare originally. So that's the whole reason I kind of grasped onto it was I got word through Amy and A Kid Again that, hey, there's a family, this girl is a teenager, she's battling cancer and she's from Clare. I was like, oh, that's in my viewing area. I was like, let's go talk to her. And her story is insane. It's just amazing. And she's just a wonderful human being, and that's why I'm so grateful for A Kid Again. It's just meeting these families and talking to them about their story, and if there's anything I can do to help, I just love being a part of that.
Oh, absolutely. And, the more connections that you have and the more stuff you do, then the more doors that are going to open for you. And part of that is just to take a moment and put yourself in somebody else's shoes for a change, because life's ups and downs are what make you and shape you into who you are.
Yep.
And, a lot of people, there are a lot of people out there that just need to realize that you're going to learn a lot of life lessons from it, whether it's an interesting experience or a good or a bad experience, then it teaches you to want to push yourself forward in a positive direction. And the more you think about that, then the more successful that you're going to be at that.
Yes, 100%, brother. Couldn't agree more with you. So that's kind of my adventure with A Kid Again. And I hope I'm, there forever, helping those families and getting these kids to continue the advocacy. And the funny thing is, Austin, like all these kids just want to help others just as much as I'm trying to help them. That's the crazy thing. Like you think like you help them and then they get to a point and then they're just, doing whatever they want to do. They come back, I'd say 99% of them, and they want to help just as much as we help them. Like, and that's the crazy thing. And that's the beauty of it. Maybe it's because they've walked those shoes and they don't want other people to walk them. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing. I could talk days on A Kid Again. It's just so cool to see and be a part of.
Yeah, like, the blind helping the blind, the cancer helping the cancer victim. I mean, standing together as a team and as a whole world and connecting and helping each other out is what it should be all about.
Yep,
for sure.
100%.
And so now, does A Kid Again accept donations? Is there any information about how people can help with them?
Yeah, 100%. Good question. So akidagain.org is the website, and you can click on the Michigan chapter. They have all the states that have chapters, and in fact, my buddy that I play video games with is from Mississippi.
Okay.
And Mississippi doesn't have a chapter. They have a few families, but they don't have a chapter. So if they don't have a chapter, what they get in the mail is like, they call it Adventures in a Box. So if you're a family in a state that doesn't have a chapter, you get Adventures in a Box. So there's like 20 or 30 families in Mississippi. So our big goal, yes, we're helping the Michigan chapter, but our big goal with my buddy in Mississippi is to get Mississippi a chapter. so they can have a lot of the families enjoying adventures in Mississippi just like they do here in Michigan. But you can go to akidagain.org, and there's donation links on there to the organization in general. If you want to help the Michigan chapter in general, just click on the Michigan state, and that's where you can find the donation link for the Michigan chapter. Or starting in September 1st to the middle of April, I will have a link to donating to the Michigan chapter. That's when we start our gaming. We call it Gaming for Adventures, our 24-hour live stream. We start it in September and go until the middle of April. And we always have our 24-hour live stream at the beginning of April. And we broadcast it on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. And what we do is, so there's this program out there, Austin, that is called Crowd Control. They have games that they've modified. So if you're watching me, if you donate, you'll get coins. And you can use those coins to dictate what happens in the game while we're playing it live. So say you donated $5, you get coins. You can use those coins to possibly kill me, help me, speed me up, make me jump. It's really cool. It makes another dynamic to you watching the video game. You can interact, and you can dictate what happens to me while you're watching. So that's a fun aspect of it as well. But yeah, if you want to help Michigan chapter of A Kid Again, all your money goes right to the Michigan chapter. If you're worried about something like that, I know some people tend to be. They want their money to go to their local chapter, not just the organization in general. With me, the money goes directly to the Michigan chapter, but we do save a little bit of it for those families in Mississippi for the Adventures in a Box. So we make sure that they get an extra box every year, rather than just the one or two that they get.
So is this Adventures in a Box, does it also, do people who are going through, families who are going through a crisis with their child dealing with a medical condition, do they just write down a whole list of adventures that they wish to do and send it to them, and then they, or do they just, or is it just a box of ideas that they could come up with and talk about that they might possibly be interested in? So
Adventures in a Box, that's actually a really good point. So they can reach out to A Kid Again and give them ideas. Mm-hmm. But Adventures in a Box is usually something they'll have a mystery that the kids have to solve. So they'll point them in the right direction, and they have to kind of solve the mystery that's going on. Or they'll have some coloring stuff, or essentially it is something that they can fit in the box that the kids can entertain or do something with and forget about anything that they're dealing with. So it's
that's cool.
But it's at the comfort of your home, right? So that's right. A nice thing. But that's usually in the states that don't have a chapter. Where they have chapters, they have several adventures every year that sends them out to, like I mentioned, Michigan's Adventure, or baseball games, or zoos, or something that gives them the opportunity to head out. 2 years ago, so every year they have a birthday bash, where they have every kid come in and they wish them happy birthday. So they have a big birthday party for all the kids that are part of A Kid Again. They had it at the Grand Rapids Museum, and it was the the Historical Museum? I think that's what it was called. Anyway, all the families got to enjoy the museum all night for the birthday bash. And I was like, you know what? I'm an entertainer, kind of, sort of. I'm a streamer. I was like, let's roll out a red carpet, because it was a gala event, so they had the kids dress up any way they wanted. So we had a red carpet, and I interviewed all the kids and their families coming down the red carpet, and we made that part of the fun. And we made a video out of it. And it's just so funny, because I asked the little girl, who are you wearing? She's looked up at her mom, and her mom's like, Jeff Bezos. It's oh, got the dress off Amazon. I get it.
Oh my gosh.
It was so much fun. And the family and a lot of the kids were like, oh, this is fun. As soon as they got on camera, they just let loose, right? Yeah. So, and it's stuff like that is really cool. And if you're wondering if you want to be a part of A Kid Again, they have the application sheets on there as well. And there's a very wide range of disabilities. It's endless. So if you don't think that you can't be accepted, just go in, apply, and somebody will be in touch. And these families definitely should look into A Kid Again, because it's just so much fun. These kids get so many opportunities to be a kid that they wouldn't normally get on a normal basis, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's akidagain.org, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and we'll make sure that we put a link up with the episode here with the podcast, so when people go and listen to this episode, they can find more information and have a link to the website as well.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
All right. So before we run out of time here, I wanted to talk to you about activities, since bringing it up with a kid again. Mm-hmm. I hear that you're a big fan of Weird Al.
Yes, I am a big music aficionado, if you will. I don't have any, there's a music preference I really like, but I listen to anything from country to the heaviest of metal. Like, I was listening to Tool rocking in on the way to come talk to you, Austin, but like, I love Garth Brooks. Like, but
Samesies.
Yes. Well, yeah, exactly. Weird Al, for some reason though, I think it's because he had a show, and I know you want to ask me about it, but I got to meet him at the Cherry Festival, which was really, really cool. But he had 2 different TV shows on when I was a kid, and he dropped the album Bad Hair Day when I was 11, and that album basically changed my life. It's because I could laugh. Like, he's a comedian musician. Like, it's awesome, and it's so funny. He takes a popular song and makes it just as poppy, but hilarious.
Yeah.
And I just love every aspect of it. And I always thought growing up that I was on an island. Nobody else liked Weird Al. I can't find anybody who likes Weird Al. But the funny thing is, every time you go somewhere, you find the people who love Weird Al instantly. Like at work, there's a guy that actually I met at the Cherry Festival because he had different seats than I did. Absolutely loves Weird Al. And we're probably 10, 15 years apart. Maybe 10 years apart.
Okay.
But Weird Al's length of career is from, the mid-'70s to now. The guy is 65 years old. He doesn't look 65, and he's so smart.
Age is just a number.
Exactly.
Keep that in mind.
Exactly.
Age is just a number, everybody.
I'll never forget. So as a kid growing up, MTV still played music videos. They had a competition. VH1 was their competition station. They had a TV show called Behind the Music. They would take bands and give their story. And Weird Al had a Behind the Music. And I used to tape all these so I could watch them over and over and over. He was a genius. He was he had a very strict childhood growing up, but he graduated at the age of 15 or 14 or 15 from high school, and then went to MIT and graduated with a degree in architecture. And look what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's making goofy songs that are super popular. Al is a wonder. And I love his movie, even though it was a flop, UHF. And like everything he's done, I've just been a huge supporter of. And I just love it. I love Al to death. And it was very nice meeting him. It was very quick, very brief, because he had like 400 or 500 people to meet. But that was the biggest concert and fastest selling concert at the Cherry Festival this year. Weird Al. Out of all the bands and acts, Weird Al.
Wow, how amazing is that? I mean, that's quite interesting for sure. And did you also get to watch the documentary about him that came out a few years ago? I think it was on Amazon Prime.
Was it the mockumentary? That was so they made a movie. Al made a movie. What was it called? I can't remember the name of it, but it was on Roku that I watched it. Mm-hmm. Had Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter, played Al.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I thought it was actually going to be like a documentary on his life, and then when they got to the crazy parts, I was like, okay, Al, you're goofing us here. like the whole how My Bologna was started and how it became an idea. I was like, that didn't happen. But yeah, it was so good. I loved it. It's so funny.
Now, is all the stuff like from the movie about him growing up as a kid true? Like, was his dad like really strict about him not wanting him to pursue music and?
So from my gathering, from like the behind the music, was his mom and dad were pretty strict parents. Again, mind you, he grew up in the 60s. Mm-hmm. They were in Linwood, California. His dad was, I believe, an iron or a factory worker, and his mom was I can't remember what his mom did. But yeah, they didn't want him to do anything with like traditional music. And then an accordion door-to-door salesman I was like, wow, blast from the past. Nobody does that anymore.
Right.
Let alone accordions. But Al's mom loved the accordion. And when he came to the house, she set up Al to get an accordion. And that's his start with music, was accordion. Learned how to play the accordion, and he turned that into essentially what we know Al is today. But he also snuck Dr. Demento radio show. So Dr. Demento played kind of this crazy, wacky music in California, I believe it was. I'm not sure if it was a national show at the time, but Al would be in bed under the covers listening to Dr. Demento. And that's where he kind of got the whole way of writing goofy parodies, and that's what basically took off. But, I mean, he did everything his parents wanted him to do. He was very smart, studious, in school, a great student. He graduated at the age of 14 or 15, something like that. Valedictorian, which was even more crazier. And then he went to MIT, got an architecture degree, and then just pursued music.
Yeah, well... Wild. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was like, that's wild to me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you always definitely want to respect your elders, but as we always encourage here on The Way I See It, follow your heart. As a matter of fact, that actually connects to something that was an inspiration to me, a saying that I came up with for the show that I always say at the end, and I'll dive into a little bit of detail on that here in a minute. But the saying that I always say at the end of the show is, life is a journey. No matter where it leads you, always go where your heart takes you. Mm-hmm. And that actually was inspired to me by my favorite music artist of all time, which nobody in our generation, I don't think, has heard of him. His name's Glenn Yarborough. And he was a folk singer, but I really got, and I just found out about him about maybe 4 or 5 years ago before I graduated from secondary school in 2021. Mm-hmm. And when I found his music after my mom had told me about him, I was instantly fell in love with him. He sounded different to me than any other. He didn't sound like any other music artist out there that I've heard because of the vibrato in his voice. I thought it sounded so beautiful and so heavenly, and the message behind his music is just very, very powerful and inspiring. He has a big popular theme song that was really popular from a movie called Baby the Rain Must Fall, and mm-hmm. the song itself just so happens to be called Baby the Rain Must Fall, which became a big hit because of the movie. And he also has another song called Love Come a Trickling Down, and I connected those two songs together in my message that I always say at the end of the podcast, because in Baby the Rain Must Fall, he says, "Wherever my heart leads me, baby, I must go." And in the song Love Come a Trickling Down, he says, life is a long, hard journey, and it doesn't matter where it ends, so make the journey count, my friend. And so because I love those two songs, I came up with my message for the end of the podcast, because a lot of people have their own way of wrapping up a show, Paul Harvey used to say, and now you know the rest of the story, or yep. Good Day. And this very famous radio DJ, John Garabedian, always used to say, learn from yesterday, live for today, dream for tomorrow, but most importantly, be your dream. And of course, the ever famous Walter Cronkite, he used yep. to say, and that's the way it is. And so when I first started this podcast, I thought that because of my inspiration with Glenn Yarborough, that I needed to have a saying too. And so connecting those two songs together, that's how I came up with life is a journey. No matter where it takes you, always go where your heart leads you. And that's just not a saying that I say because of my favorite music artists, but we truly do want to shine a spotlight on people with disabilities, and mm-hmm. and we want to encourage everybody to do as much as possible, and that's the biggest thing that we try to encourage. So
100%. It doesn't matter the disability. It doesn't matter who you are, what it is. 1 million things, all the factors. It doesn't matter. If you want to do something, find a way to do it.
Absolutely. Yep. You just got to put your heart and soul into it, and that's what I wanted to do with this passion for a long time, and you just have to have goals and be able to challenge yourself to do things that are going to help you reach those goals. I mean, life isn't always easy, and you are definitely going to have some challenges and bumps and hurdles along the way. But the one thing is to just accept being able to stumble and fall and maybe bump your head a little bit along the way. And it's definitely a little will definitely go a long way for sure.
100%, Austin. I love it, man.
Yeah.
I thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was definitely a pleasure and an honor talking to you. And you know, now real quickly, you got to take your picture with Weird Al at Cherry Fest, right?
I did.
So, and what did that feel like? I mean, being able to meet him and get your picture taken. I mean,
it was a dream come true. Like, there's some people in my lifetime that I feel like I want to meet him. Al's definitely one of those people, or I should say was one of those people. Super nice, super kind. It had to be brief because he had to see a lot of people, but I told him thank you for his TV show. He had a Saturday morning TV show as a kid that was really funny. And then also I thanked him for Bad Hair Day because, like I said, that was the first album of his that I got, and it changed the way I saw music. Which was really cool. But it also opened the door that I could listen to any kind of music. And like I mentioned, it always felt like I was on an island until, I got to meet people that had the same thing. And there's many bands that way. I was in a band, actually. So not to start a whole new subject, but Blink-182 made me pick up a guitar. And we had a band through high school. I had a garage band, and we had 2 albums, actually. But once we went to college, we all just kind of went our own way. But I played guitar, and music is something amazing. Like I taught myself, I didn't take any lessons, but pop punk is where I love music, emo. But like I mentioned, I listen to anything from country. Johnny Cash is one of my favorite artists of all time. I call him the original punk, and also the heaviest in metal. I just love music in general. There's so much to see in a story that's so quick, and I love that.
Oh, the same here. We've had a couple of different musical guests on The Way I See It before, and I've shared many different connections with them as well, and I'm totally in the same boat with you. I mean, I like everything from the Carpenters to Rihanna. So, yeah. Because I grew up and was raised with all different kinds of music from the different exposures that with the stuff that my parents used to listen to and my sister used to listen to. Probably one of my biggest favorites is soft rock. We don't have a lot of really good easy listening up here on the radio anymore. But
would you say that's yacht rock?
Yeah, yacht rock. Yeah,
I love yacht rock.
Yeah, same here. And I used to, as a little kid, my mom used to put me to bed with Delilah every night. And,
yep.
What
I used to listen to every night when I went to bed in school, elementary school and high school, was NPR radio.
Oh,
so
okay.
Classical music from Interlaken.
Yep.
I would set it on that and I would fall asleep. Not that music's bad. It's just I loved. So I don't know if you've ever had this, and we're just continuing on here, and I don't mean to.
That's okay.
When you sleep, you ever heard things like those things or the noises that are around you ever become part of the dream? So, like, I would have classical music playing, and that would be, like, the background noise in my dream. It was wild. Wow. And I could never put those two together for the longest time. So every night I'd put the music on, and that was the background of my dream. And so it was cool. Because sometimes, like, the Flight of the Bumblebee would come on, and all of a sudden it's not nearly a great dream anymore.
Right.
Classical music, I feel, is kind of the door to all music. That's where everything started.
Oh, yeah.
Part, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And so it's cool to have that. And then when you hear a popular song, you can say, oh, it came from that. I heard it over there first in classical music. So I just think the window and realm of music is amazing, especially when you take something like classical and then incorporate it into rock. Like when Metallica had strings in San Francisco and they like made an album out of it, like that is so cool. Just when you have the meld of everything. I think that's probably the whole story of my life. Like melding things together. I just love melding things together.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, because you're able to be creative in that way, and then it makes things easier for you to be able to come up with your own ideas.
And like right now, the big thing is what, country rap. Like you're seeing a lot of
yeah,
melding
like
of things that you wouldn't see before.
You see Jelly Roll and Taylor Swift doing both, and Post Malone doing both pop and country.
Yeah, and Beyonce kind of started everyone into the country bandwagon, if you will, from a different genre. But yeah, I think melding is just so cool. I just like to see if they're opposites attract, if you will. But I mean, I just like seeing different things come together. It's cool.
Oh, absolutely. I'm totally with you on that. Well, like I said, going back to my best friend that I was talking about, he's a big fan of Mario, and he is a diehard fan of Weird Al, and I have many other friends here at GTI who are fans of Weird Al as well. And talking about, I didn't discover, Glenn Yarborough till a few years ago, and this was a couple of years after he had passed away, which I mean, if he were still alive today, I mean, to be able to see him perform in person and even meet him would be a dream come true. And unfortunately, that's impossible now. But I mean, just to imagine it is really awesome. So the fact that you got to do that with Weird Al, I'm really, really excited and happy for you, man. I mean,
thank you. I appreciate it, and I was just very excited that I had the opportunity. And you hear stories when you get to meet him, which I never knew. Like, so right after I started becoming a Weird Al fan, he had the Saga Begins, which is a Star Wars song after American Pie. The song Bye Bye Miss American Pie. He wrote the Saga Begins, which was based off of Star Wars. The Saga Begins, the first Star Wars that George Lucas was putting out in early 2000. He wrote that entire song, which was 99.99% accurate, off of internet rumors. The movie had not even come out yet. And so he had the song written, and the movie came out, and it ended up being 99% correct based on internet rumors. That's wild. When you're that good, and you make a great song that's a parody of American Pie, and it's just like, whoa, that's insane. But that's the beauty of Al, right? And
that's like true talent and true spirit right there.
Right? and then he turns around and makes a big hit out of a rap song.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. And instead of Riding Dirty, it's White and Nerdy.
I know.
He gets the other crowd. And I was like, man, he's just so good. And that's why I think a lot of people connect to him. Because even when I went to see him at the Cherry Festival, again, it was a span of 4 generations of people. Like, there was little kids there that loved every song that he was singing. And then you had older people that were 50, 60, close to 70 that was there loving every song he was singing from the old days.
Yeah, because there's something for everybody there.
Right. And that's what I love about Al, right? And, it is family fun. And, yeah, he can be a little edgy every now and then. But it's so fun.
Yeah.
And that's why I think, I gravitate that way.
I think probably one of his most humorous ones is Amish Paradise from, Gangster's Paradise from LL Cool J, and then you hear Weird Al do Amish Paradise. It's just so hilarious.
And that's where I started really getting into him. That's from Bad Hair Day, the album that was my first album from him. Some of his, the first one after that, I went to a yard sale, and I found In 3D and Dare to Be Stupid on cassette, and I bought them. And I wore those cassettes out. They're so funny. They're so good. And that's what I love about Al. It's just, you can sit there. I'll just throw them up on Spotify in my truck, and I'll listen, and it's just like, man, this takes me back. And I just love every lyric to every song, even the ones that are deep cuts that it's like they don't play. It's like, man, it's something about a musician that can do that, and it's funny because he's a parody musician.
Get yourself a good old subwoofer and just bump that stuff, man.
Right?
Yeah,
I love it, man.
Yeah. Well, Michael, like I said, it is definitely has been an honor and a pleasure to have you here today. You definitely have a lot to bring and to offer to your community, and I think that you're definitely going to be a powerful inspiration to our folks as well who are out there within the sound of our voice. And I definitely think that more people will get involved. And the main thing here is to do what you want to do, you do you, and have a little fun with it along the way. So
100%. And I appreciate you, Austin. Thank you. You're an inspiration to so many. So thank you for having me on and talking and telling us your story, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, our pleasure. Well, thank you so much for being on The Way I See It today.
Of course, anytime.
Before we go, everybody, I just want to take a moment to say that Michael Stevens has been chosen to be the guest on our 20th episode. That's right, we are now 20 episodes into The Way I See It. We've been doing this for a year and a half now, and come January, it will be 2 years, and we couldn't have done it without your amazing support. Of course, thanks to my producer and program director here at Grand Traverse Industries, Micah Haven, as well as all the great staff here and all of my listeners who have followed us since the start. We definitely could not have done it without you guys. And to honor and celebrate this today, I have a joke that I would like to share with all of you. So here it goes. A teacher wrote 4 vocabulary words up on the board and wanted her students to write a sentence using each one of the words. The words were defeat, deduct, defense, and detail. All right? So the sentence that one student came up with was defeat of deduct jumped over defense before detail. Think about that for a minute. The defeat of deduct jumped over defense before detail. Isn't that a funny play on words, Mr. Producer?
Yes, it is. Let's go.
Yeah. All right. Well, and it's just my thanks. My humor is my thanks to all of you, and my gift to you for just celebrating this amazing occasion, and it's also the perfect birthday present for yours truly as well. So thanks for your great support, and let's have a great future of The Way I See It. Thank you for listening to The Way I See It. This podcast is brought to you by Grand Traverse Industries, a Northern Michigan nonprofit whose mission is to fiercely advocate, strengthen, and advance the dignity and opportunity of people with disabilities. Our theme is composed by Nick Vane, and our producer is Micah Haven. We hope you'll join us for our next episode, but in the meantime, this is Austin Darga reminding you that life is a journey. No matter where it takes you, always go where your heart leads you.